This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so what we did on Friday and Saturday, so many people attempted the exam or just the evaluation test, like how well you should understand the data types, the questions, the measures, the aggregations, and we did reviews in groups as well. And so hope that reviews would be helpful in the next classes or the next exams when you take them. So I see only 6 of them completed the test. Whether it is good or bad, so you just need to submit the sheets, and then we'll discuss so what is wrong, what went wrong, how to fix that, so how to understand the question. So you will get to know those things. But remember, it's not mandatory that you have to do every single question correct. So that's not the case, because the questions are framed in such a way that it confuses you what to do. Alright, so level one is very simple confusions, but as we move on, so the questions will be little tricky, complicated, and which includes the real-time scenarios questions. So if you cannot solve them, we'll try to discuss them in the results session. Okay, so where are we in our regular sessions? This is day 14, July. What is today's date? 27. Okay, so much of gap we got. All right, so what do we discuss today? If you have remembered what we discussed in the previous session, it was some concept about filters. So how many types of filters were there? So we can apply filters at worksheet level, isn't it? We try to apply it at the worksheet level, and this is where we saw 8 different types of filters: marks view, then the data, then the marks card, then filter shelf, and then cascading quick filters, context filters, and parameter filters. So now let's move on to the second one, which is at the data source level. So that means, can we apply filters at the data source level? Very interesting one. Let's take a look. Let's save that, and let's go to filters at the data source level. Okay, so there is some dummy data. Let's minimize this so that everyone can see the screen. Okay, so now what we did is, when we drag any dimension into rows, into columns, into filters, let's say I applied some filter here, only show me east, and we built some data. For example, let's say we built this report. Now if I go to sheet 2, will it show only east related data? Because I applied filter here on sheet 1. So I applied filter on sheet 1 saying that show me only east related data. So it can be anything like this or anything like this. So now sheet 1 shows only east related data. Okay. Now the question here is, in sheet 2, if I drag region, then will it show all regions data or only east related data? Now observe, when I drag region, I'm again seeing everything here. So that means, what is the point here is, if you are applying the filters in the filters shelf, isn't it? If we are applying the filters in the filters shelf, those filters, not only here, even here as well. So if you are applying any filters, then these filters by default are only applied to that particular sheet. So filters are not applied to every sheet automatically. So whatever the filters we applied till now, it is only applicable to the current sheet where you are applying. Okay, so this is one interview question. Focus on this. There are good points here which will confuse us. Now, so how we can say that this is only applied at sheet 1? Go to sheet 2, we have region, and I'm able to see all the 4 regions. But observe here, so there is an option here, apply to worksheets, and by default, this is only applied to this sheet. This is the default selection of the filter shelf. All right, so you can see this option from here, or we applied the filter from this part, isn't it? And you can also observe that here. So go to the third option, which we said we'll come back to this later, and observe here, this is also the same option. So by default, this will be selected, right? Certification question as well. Okay, now this is fine. Now this is fine. So currently, if I apply anything, it only applies to single sheet level. Excellent. Now let's go back to the data source. I'm removing everything. Let's go back to the data source and observe here. There are some more filters here. So one is extract. This is a connection, sir. So why is this filter? Good question. Now observe, there is another filters option here, isn't it? Okay, so there is one more filter. Let's take a look at this here. Let's take a look at this type of filter as well, and let's click on this filter first. What it is telling here, this is a data source filter, isn't it? So that means there is some filter which I can apply on this screen. Okay, so what filter shall I apply here? Let's say click on add, click on year. Where is that year? Order date. Sorry, order date. And you are getting a similar screen, isn't it? Okay, select that. Say next. And hey, I want only 2019 data only. Or I want 18 and 19 data. So observe here, what happens if I select filters here? The same thing I can select inside a Tableau also. I can select the same thing inside Tableau also, but what happens if I select these two here? Let's say okay, and let's say observe here, keeps 18 and 19. Let's say okay. Now there is something applied here, isn't it? Okay, now let's see this data as well. How many records you got? Let's type any biggest number you see. Type 99999, something like that. It's 5899 records. So that means what it is doing is, this is my data source. This is my data source, and I'm connecting to Tableau. And inside Tableau, I have sheet 1, sheet 2, and so on up to sheet n. And now I had originally 10,000 records, but now I'm applying some filter here. So with this filter, I'm stopping 5,000 records. So that means inside Tableau, how many records are now available? Only 5,000 records available. So is that true? Let's take a look. Right? So observe the difference. What happens if I apply inside the sheet? what happens if I apply in this data source filter? All right, so take a look here. So now I'm restricting to only somewhere around 6,000 rows. Go to sheet 1. All right, so go to sheet 1 and let's drag order date into the rows. Oh, how many years we have? 18 and 19. So that means, are we deleting the records? No, not deleting. So we are not allowing the unwanted data to enter into the Tableau workspace. So now this workbook contains 10,000 records. So this workbook contains 10,000, but when you come to sheet level, so I am only allowing some 5,000 records. And now this 5,000 records, is it the same for every sheet? Let's take a look. So in sheet 1, so you have 18 and 19. So how many records you have? How do you validate? So here you will have the table name, and in brackets you see count, and then just put that number here. You can see that the number of records are 5899. What about sheet 2? Is it in sheet 2 also? Do you have same number of records? 5899. Okay, so that means what we are doing, we are restricting unwanted data not reaching the inside of Tableau. So we are restricting unwanted data in this data source window itself. So in this data source window itself, I am not allowing the data to go inside the workbook. But the number of records you have here in this workbook, you have 10,000, but I'm restricting that to 5,000. So what we can achieve with this? We can achieve performance, because unwanted records, why you want to allow inside? So we can improve the performance of the worksheets when you filter the data at this point itself. All right, so when you filter the data at this point itself, you are going to achieve the performance here. And what is the difference? Sir, why we want to do here? Let's remove this here. Let's remove this. And what happens if I apply in sheet 1? So in sheet 1, you want only 18 and 19, no sir. Then take here order date and select years. Select years and select 18, 19 and say apply and say OK. Right? So you can also do this here. You can also do this. And how many records you have? So I got same records only. Right? You can also do that. But the problem here is how many records you have here in the table. It is 10,000 records. If you drag any other thing into this here, all right, so let's say if you drag any other filter, this is individual filter, then this has to talk to 10,000 records in the data source. So which is not good, isn't it? So when you don't want all 10,000 records, why you are filtering here, and the next one is also getting affected. So what is the point here is how to improve performance in Tableau desktop. This will be the interview question. So how to improve performance means one point. So we'll write in the interview questions here, because this is a mandatory question. So we have so many ways of improving performance. So we'll put that question here. So we'll add points as we discuss. How to improve Tableau desktop performance, or how to improve performance in the reports. So the first option here is restrict unwanted data. So where you can restrict at the data source level. Alright, so restrict your unwanted data at the data source level. So it will increase the performance. This is just one point, but we'll add so many points as we discuss. All right, but did you observe the difference between how you want to apply filter in the sheet level, and if I apply something in the data source level, so what is the difference? Difference is in the number of records in each sheet. So once I apply my filter here, now every sheet will have same number of records. All right, but if you apply filter on these, then the filters are only applied on this sheet. So you're applying 18 and 19, that is only restricted to sheet 1. But if you go to sheet 2, so you will again have 10,000 records. So which is not correct. Okay, so this is one point. So now I'll take a pause here. So do you have any questions at this point?
Sir, I was disconnected in between. Can you just show me again how to apply the filter at the sheet level?
Sheet level is in the filters shelf.
Okay. So about at the data source?
You have this option, filters.
Okay.
So click on this, add, and you get the same screens here. So filter whatever you want. So select east, region, west, and say okay. Now you are applying filters by west region, and if you go to sheet, so this contains only data for the west region. So region, so put that here, you will have only west, but full data will be available in the data source page, but you are only restricting to west here in the sheet level.
Got it.
Right. All right, so let's move on to another one.
Hi, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, what if we have to have two filters at one time? Let's say West, in the West, I only need 2018 and 2019 data.
Absolutely. Add it here. Got it?
Got it, sir. So, same way, we can put a lot of filters.
Correct.
How many filters?
Correct. So you can have here as many filters you want to apply, you can apply.
Great. Thank you.
Sure. Let's go to sheet.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yep.
Sir, I mean, in the data source level, we are filtering out, for 2 years. So what if you want to, in sheet 3, what if you want to connect to, the remaining years, I mean, which means 2016 and 2017. So in that case, what we should do?
Come back here, again edit, again add 16. Okay. And go back to the sheet.
Okay.
Now you have only 3. So you decided, hey, I don't want 18. Okay. Then if you don't want 18, so instead of doing this, if you want to apply this for every sheet,
Okay.
all right, so you can go back to the data source and edit the filter and select it. Say, okay, this time customer doesn't need 18. So unselect that and come back to the sheet. That will be gone.
Okay.
Understood?
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Right. So this is a very, very important point because you will get one interview question. What is the difference between this filter? This means we have to say it is data source filter and extract filter. So this is also one type of filter. All right. So you have a very minute difference between these two, which we'll talk about that now. But
Sir, I
data,
have a question.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
have a question on this, sir.
yeah, go
Sir,
ahead.
if we use it for the live connection, I mean, if it is in the extract, then that is not a problem. What happens if we use it in a live connection? Every time we get the new data into the data source.
Hold
If we
on.
restrict for 2017
Hmm.
or 2016, uh,
Hmm.
assume that you have restricted for 2016. Now we have got some other new records into the system. In that case, how it works?
So what is your question? If I have live plus data source, how does
Data
it,
source.
or are you asking if it
No, no,
is live
live.
plus
Like
data source, how does it
uh,
work?
live plus data source.
If you observe, are we doing for live connection only?
Huh.
So if you have 2000, so if you are restricting 16 and 17 when you are using live connection, so if
Okay.
you are getting data for these two, if you are restricting these means, even though you get this, those records will not be there inside Tableau. If you are allowing 19, 18 and 19 because it is live, so you will always get data for these two things.
Okay. Uh, what happens if in the extract connection?
That's what we have to discuss. So hold on. So we are discussing live and data source.
Oh,
Once we know how extract connection filters and the difference between these two, then your question will be automatically answered.
okay.
Okay. So here, what I was trying to discuss here is we now know how these filters work, which is the data source. But let's try to understand. So how do we filter data using extract? All right. So let's take a look now. Then we'll analyze few questions here again, which are interview questions. All right. Now let's clear everything. So I'm removing everything here, even this one. So no filters applied. But this time I want to use extract, and I want to apply the same filters here also. So I want to apply the same filters here also. So click on add and select region as a rest, and I want to add one more. So order date is for last 2 years, which is 18 and 19. Oh, we can add the same thing. Then what is the difference, isn't it? So here also I can add, here also I can add. Okay, now let's say here, let's say okay. All right, and how many records we have? So let's try to see that. Oh, did you observe? Here I have everything 9994. Make a note of this, and we'll go back to any of the sheet. So it immediately asks us, hey, please save the file because you are taking an extract from the original database. All right, let's save this file to our day-to-day session. All right, so here I'm saying here, the name is very clear. This is a West and 2018, 2019 data. Let's say save. Okay. So the connection is extract now. That's very nice. And shall I close this file, and shall I open that extract file? So where did we save? In this file. All right. So now can I open this file? Because observe, this is also a file system. This file contains data, isn't it? This file contains data. So yes, you can directly open it from here, or open Tableau desktop, Where is that? And let's open the hyper file here. See, we never did this. So the first time we are connecting to hyper file. And how do we connect that? So how connect that? Is it a database? No, I don't see here hyper. Click on more, and observe here the first line. So with more, you can connect to these many data sources here. So if you observe, there is a big list here. All right. So if you want to connect hyper files or the files which are not displayed here, then go to more, and where is your location? Let's go to that location. Select this file, say open. Okay, see again it is asking live and extract. Here we'll get it out. Sir, should it automatically select extract? No, it doesn't, because you already, this is a database. You already took extract of this database and stored in a file here. So this is a file. And now you are connecting to a file. So when you're connecting to a file, so again by default it will be live connection only. Very good. And now observe here. So how many records we have? So how many records we have? Only 1900 records. Point number one. Go to the sheet, and here let's put a region, and let's put here order date. Put that here, and can I have filters? Say show filters. Now put the same question. So before somebody asked me, sir, how to now add 2017? So how to add 2017? Go back to data source. Do you have any filters here applied? I don't have the filters applied. So how to get 2017 here? You cannot get 2017 here. What is the difference now? The difference is, if we apply data source filters, then the complete data is available in the file. That means in that workbook, complete data is available, but we are only restricting few records when it shows into Tableau desktop. So sheet 1, it restricts, sheet 2 restricts. But if you want to change, you can come back to this data source page and change the numbers, and then it will again restrict those values and show your required output. But when we take extract filters, then whatever you are taking extract, only that data will be stored in a separate file. So that means you are separating the main data and storing that in a separate file. So now we don't have the option of changing the filters in this file. All right, so that is the main difference between the extract filters and the data source filters. All right, so point number one. So what's that point? We cannot edit, or we lose the data. So the main thing is we lose the data in this file, and this is very lightweighted now, isn't it? So here also I have 1900, inside also 1900. But when you apply data source filters, on the data source page, here it shows all the records, maybe 5000 something you applied, and inside also same thing, but you can come back, edit, and then change the filters, which is not the case in the extract filters. Now let's talk about the combinations here. All right, so let's talk about the combination of the filters. So let's open the new workbook. Let's connect to the data. So it is again the file system. Okay, so this is a live connection, and when the connection is live, can I apply data source filter? Look at the combinations now. Okay, if it is a live filter and I want only 1 year of data, so can I apply those filters? 19, say okay, the filters. All right, so let's put that here very quickly. We can apply live connection plus data source filters, not a problem. And what about extract and data source filters? Can we apply both of them at the same time? Take a look here. Now go to extract, click on edit. It says there is already one here. So whatever you applied in these filters, it is already shown here. Okay, that means are both of them the same? Let's keep the same thing. Okay, let's say okay, and let's go to sheet. And the moment when you are saving this in a file, now what is the data you are saving? 2019 data only. Now what is the difference here? The difference is if you are applying the extract filter, then this file will store only 2019 data. So this becomes the separate file. All right, so this becomes the separate file, and let's say save, and here I got the same thing, but let's go back to data source, and now again edit the filter and add one more thing here. Let's say region. This time I want to add only east related regions. Now let's say okay. Observe how many filters we have. We have got 2 filters here, isn't it? And let's go back here to the sheet, and where is the region? We got only east. And what about the order date? So you have only 2019. But the extract file, if you observe, I have only region in my file, isn't it? I have only region in my file, and right click on this region, show filter. So can I have any other region? Then you have to go back. And how do you get the file now? How do you add another region? So again, you have to click on edit. Do you have region? So now this is only data. So add the filter, and then so let's say edit and stand west. Let's say okay. So go back, and you will have 2 regions now. So this is data source filter, of course, but can I add another year to it? Okay, you want to add another year to it, which is in this filter. Right, so click on edit. So keeps 2019 filter. So you can edit that, and say again 18, and say okay. Right, so go back to sheet. So now you can see both east and west. But what is the main difference here? So the main difference here is extract filter saves the data to a file. So once it is saved to a file, then you cannot change these options. But if it is a data source filter, then I can change these options anytime I want. All right. So if you have applied extract filters and then if you have saved that to a file, then that file will lose the other unselected data and you cannot change it back. But the data source filter, you can always change anytime you want because the data is available in this data source window, So that means the point here is, can we apply the combinations? We can apply extract connection or extract filters plus data source filters. This combination is also allowed. Now here another interview question comes here. Which one executes first? So we will always have this question. Now I have both. I have both extract and data source. So which one executes first? This one or this one? Another interview question. So which one executes first in these two? So let's put that question here. Which filters will get executed first in Tableau, in extract and data source filters? All right, so which one gets executed first? So the order is extract and then data source. So extract and then data source filters. Now we had a question before again. What is the order of execution of filters? Isn't it? So this order is now when you open any Tableau workbook. All right. So the first filter which it gets executed is extract filters. So it will look what is there in that extract filter. Then it looks at what is there in the data source filters. So it's going to look at those two filters first. And okay, so it finds that this is there and then data source filter. Then what is the next filter it's going to look for? The next filters which it going to look is the context filters. So do I have any context filters? So this is what it is going to validate. And then it looks for filters by dimensions. And then it looks the filters by measures. Now here you will get another interview question. Can we execute live filters, I mean the live connection plus extract connection, extract filters, and then data source filters? So why there is no live filter here? Because when you say live, you have the connection as live. So the combination here is live plus extract is never possible because you can select only one, right? So that means a live and the data source filters, is that possible again? Yes, it is possible. So that means if you are using the live connection, then this will not execute. The order becomes live connection, then it looks at the data source, then context, then dimensions, then measures. Because you can select only one at it. But what is the main difference? So please tell this in the interview. So what is the difference between, did we write that point anywhere? No. So let's just put that point here. Very, very important point. What is the difference between extract filters and data source filters? So what is the difference here means? In extract filters, let's put it this way. When we apply extract filters, the data is stored in separate file, and since it is stored in separate file, we cannot change or modify the how we can put this filters again. Is we lose the data. That means it restricts the data. Let's put it this way. Restricts the data based on selection. And importantly, user does not have access to the complete data. But here, when we apply, what is this filter here? The data source filter, the complete data is still available in Tableau workbook, but sheets contain only restricted data based on the data source filters. That means the Tableau workbook contains complete data again, but sheets contain only restricted data. So anytime you want to go back, you can just change the filters. But here in extract filters, it is not the case, because you are segregating the data from the main database and storing in a file, so you lose that complete information. Okay, now I'll take a pause and see what you understood. Do you have any questions on this? So Vikram, is your query clarified, or still it's not? We can discuss.
Yes, sir. Now it is clarified.
Okay. So which is better, Vikram? So applying extract is better, or applying data source is better?
That depends upon the work what we do it, sir. I mean, if we are working on the live, so we go with the data source filter, or else if we have number of records, then uh, to do the visualization on the older years, then in that case we go with the extract
Correct.
connection.
Correct. So when we should go to extract is, so remember everyone, so when we should go to extract connection means I don't want the previous data, or I'll work only with my extracted data every time. So I will not go back to what I did not select it before. Example, I need to work on 2019 data only, because client is asking only 2019 data. Then the best option is go for the extract, because you don't want 16, 17, 18 data anytime. So there, go to extract the data and take that data and store that data into the file, into the extract file. And in 2019, let's say client wants only East related data. So he wants to check only East. Then you can again apply data source filters. So that is not a problem. But so if your case is no sir, I want to show 2019 data only, but so client sometimes want to check with the 2018 data as well. So here you are not sure. So client may want to check 18 means don't apply extract, and there you can just directly go for the live connection and apply the data sources and restrict the data in this window itself. So yes, so your answer is right. Based on the requirement, we have to decide, should we use only extract, or is it best to apply the data source filters? Right? So that depends purely on the requirement. But everyone has its own advantages and disadvantages. And really in real time, so you will not have option to choose between either live or extract. So you will not have that much freedom to select between these two. Sir, why? Because your lead or your manager, they will decide it for you, and they'll make sure that the data is available for you in a database or in a file, and you have to just connect it to that DB or to that file. So this will be taken care by your leads or your managers. But if you are working, if you get into a very small company, then you have to decide yourself. So which one is better? Because client says always, performance is the key for me. Then so take a wise decision between these two. Right? But yes, it's purely depends on the requirement. And why we are restricting data to just achieve one thing here, which is performance. Everyone needs this, isn't it? So everyone needs this performance. If I click on that, that should appear. So I want good performing mobile, good performing a gadget, but not good performing tableau desktop, good performing report. Yeah. So how to improve that? This is one point. And we added here few points here. So this is what we added a few things here. So what is the order of execution? When somebody asks for a report, then Tableau looks for these things in an order. Right, so we'll add a few more things here as we move on. Okay, so any questions on this other than Vikram? Yeah, please go ahead, Bharat.
Sir, in case, for example, I have one PDF where like around 50 or 60 reports are there. Those are like weekly reports. For example, week 24 will hold 4 weeks of data and 2 months of data. Okay. For example, now I have to browse for week 29 and 30 for entire sheet.
Okay, you can connect to people and you can choose which one you want.
Oh,
So it should allow you
okay.
to
But my data.
Your voice is breaking, Bharat.
That, sir. My data will have week 1, week 2, week 3 like. So from there I have to select it.
Yes, yes. So you have to
Hello.
manually select which one you want, and then you can only allow that. Okay, Bharat, your voice is breaking, but what I'm trying to say is when you have a report in the PDF file, so it will show you which file you want to connect it. So you can choose which one you want to show. So only that will be allowed. Okay, your voice looks breaking, but yeah, you will have the option to choose which one you want.
Sir, but I want to maintain anywhere it's like week 25, 9 data, week 30 data like that, sir. So should I make a development for that?
Yeah, so there are a few things like you can connect it directly, but the manual process will be there. But that's how you do for PDF files. And so if you can convert it into any text format, then push it into the DB, then that's the easy thing.
In case if it is covers in coming classes, then it's okay, sir.
Now, you can just try connecting that to PDF file, or can you send that? We can try that.
Yes, sir. Actually, I have production data.
So you can
that
just
will be
connect.
in Excel sheet, sir. Yeah. That will be in DB. So one column will maintain like weeks data, week number, combination of week and year. By tomorrow first class, tomorrow first I will provide you, sir.
Yeah, you can restrict that by fields if you have that. Otherwise, can you use any of these columns? Otherwise, you can create here the calculated fields as well. So not here. So just go there. Let me go to the sheet. So here you have to use calculated fields, and you have to write the logics here. So how you want to restrict? So we have to write the logics here. Right, so send me the
Okay,
data.
sir.
We'll take a
Yeah,
look.
tomorrow, by tomorrow starting, I will provide you, sir. Today I will extract from my database.
Yeah, extract it and send it to me to this email ID. So I'll make sure that it's confidential, and you can change the data as well. So don't put
Okay,
the
sir.
same data, just change here and there, and we can see. So send that data to this email ID.
Okay, sir. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
So we the production data as well.
Yes, sir. It's production data. Yeah.
Right. So we'll get first-hand information. Right. Okay. So that, sorry. So anyone has any other questions, please? Because this is one interview question. Difference between extract filters and data source filters.
Hi, sir. Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, if you could please go to that data source and click on edit next to the extract. No, extract file, sir. Okay. So we have, this is extracted data. Earlier you extracted only 2019, and then you put the filters, data source filters. But again,
Yeah.
when you come back and edit in extract filters, we could see 2018-17 data as well. So that was I
Right.
observed.
Yeah, but what happens is I'm trying to save this extract to a file, isn't it?
Yeah.
So once you are done with the selections, and once you change, like once I added, then edited, then added one more. So once this is done, so we will not connect to the same file. So that means we have to close this, the main Tableau workbook, and you have to connect to this file itself. So this file will not, I mean, once you connect to this file, you will not be able to add any other things later.
Okay. I mean, only 2019 data will be there, but not other years data, right?
Yes. So once you selected, finalized your requirements there, and then from then onwards, we will disconnect that the Tableau workbook, and we have to work in this file itself. And in this file, you cannot make any modifications.
Okay, fine.
Means what we are doing in simple words, we are taking a subset of data. Right? So this is a main DB, and I'm trying to pull something into the small file here. So this file is nothing but this extract file. And once we are done with selections, modifying, updates, things, then we will disconnect from the main database. We will disconnect. So now user has to work only in this file, and now I don't have any option of changing back to any other dates.
Okay, sir, fine, got it. So this is
Right?
how
Yeah.
team leaders, managers give the data.
Exactly, because why should I provide you like last 10 years of data to you, isn't it? So
Yes.
if I think you should have only like 1 year or last 3 months data, then why would I give 10 years of different data? And there will be so many columns as well, like 250 columns, but you need only like 70 columns. So 1 year data with 70 columns, if I can give you that data, that is enough for you to generate the report. So there I will pull the extract from this, and I will give you that data. I'll say, hey, you have the data, so prepare a report using this data. So that's how we have to restrict the data. Otherwise, the performance will take a hit here. So unnecessarily you are talking to 10 years of data when you want to build just 3 months of data. So I hope you understood the point.
Yes, sir, I got it. I have one more question from this. So
Sure.
till now we are doing row-wise filters. So just now you have said, right? So when we, source data has 70 columns, and in that, I need only 10 columns. So that filter, will that be possible
Yeah, how
here
do I
in
get
live?
that? Absolutely, it is possible. But how? I'll show you now, but don't worry. We have to connect to our database, isn't it? So go to the database, and so I'll just connect to a running database. So it's the future topic, but I'll show you if can I get only limited data, limited columns from the database. Okay, is this machine up and running? Let's take a look very quickly, because it should not take that much of time. Okay, so the database server is not working, but the database in my local machine should be working. Let's close this and say dot. Password, what is that? 123. Oh, is the local DB also down? All right, okay, so both databases are down at the moment. So yes, what we can do is you have to write a small custom SQL. That means you just need to write a small query. So once you connect to database, only then you will get that option, writing a custom SQL. So that means I'll write a query saying that give me only 4 columns, and maybe year is equal to 2010. So I have to write a small SQL query in an option new custom SQL, but you can do it only from the databases. Looks like all databases are down, weekend effect. But I'll show you that, because we have to even discuss that topic. So to answer that, yes, we can definitely, and we have to use only that option in live systems.
Okay, thank you.
Surprisingly, both databases are down. Yeah, it's still down. Okay. That's a good question, because that tells you that you already have some prior experience, isn't it?
Sir, I'm working as a WFM analyst. So every day I work on data.
Yeah, that tells that. I'll show that option once we connect to the database. Both looks down. Okay. So any other questions before we move to the different small topic? We'll take a small topic and then we will stop it here. All right. So again, I'm connecting to Excel file only, but maybe tomorrow we'll connect to database, because every day Excel, it's very boring. Let's have this. Oh, we have the sheets. Okay, clear this. And so what is the second small topic here is, let's say I want to have 19 data only, and I am building a very small report like this, region wise, state wise, and very less measures. It's very bad, but the dummy data is this. Observe here. So what I did is I built a small report considering only 2019 data. Now I'm building another sheet, and in this sheet I want to show the product names, and let's say I have sales, some information like this, sort out segment wise. Let's put that here. So this is some information which I have in the second sheet. Now if you observe the filter which I applied here, 2019, this is only applicable to sheet 1. Sheet 2, it doesn't have any filter. But my requirement here is whatever filter I apply here on sheet 1, it should automatically apply to sheet 2 also. That is my requirement. So if I change to 18, then automatically this data should display 2018 data. Remember, this is an interview question. Can you share the filters across multiple sheets? Can you share filters across multiple sheets? So here by default, no, it is not possible. But yes, we can always do that. But how is that possible? So look at this option, apply to worksheets. You can select these from here, or so you can also choose from here. And now observe here, there is an option, selected worksheets. So click on that, and yes, I want to apply my filter even to sheet 2 also. So I'm forcibly saying that apply this filter on sheet 2 as well. Let's say okay. Now observe the icon here. So observe the icon here. Previously we did not get that. So this icon is something like this, which tells you that you are sharing the filters across 2 sheets. That means across multiple sheets. Okay, let's look at sheet 2 now. Let's look at sheet 2. Now, is that filter applied automatically? It is. So before I did not add it. So let's have here show filter. So yes, it is 2019. Is the data changing? So keep an eye here. So let's say 2018. See where I am changing this filter on sheet 1. I'm applying 18 as well. So the numbers changes. Go back to sheet 2. Sheet 2 also shows 2018 and the numbers also changes here. Now the interview question is, if I change a filter on sheet 2 here, will it apply to sheet 1? If I change it here, will it show on sheet 1? Okay, let's validate that. So I'm unselecting both, and so on sheet 2 I set 16 only, but will it apply the changes to sheet 1? So observe, sheet 1 also changes automatically. So that means sharing of filters means you can change that filter in any sheet and the impact will be on every sheet. Right? So it doesn't mean that you can change only from sheet 1. No, you can change that option from any sheet and the impact will be on the other sheets as well.
Then what was the option, sir?
Sorry?
What was the option you selected?
The option is just apply to worksheets and selected worksheets. So you have to manually select which worksheet is that. So that means if I go to sheet 3 and if I say the order date, if I say order date and let's say sales, so is that impacting here? And no, it is not impacting by default because you just said share the filters only between these 2 sheets. No, I want to apply on sheet 3 as well. Okay, you want to apply on sheet 3 as well. All right, so then go to this and apply to sheet. Again, select the same option and select sheet 3 and say okay. Now sheet 3 also impacted with that filter. Now I have my another requirement. So I have like 10-15 sheets, right? So I have 10-15 sheets, and I want to apply this filter across every sheet, right? So I want to apply my filter on every sheet now. So do the same thing. What is there in that? So every time you add a new sheet, go to the sheet, go to any sheet now, even sheet 3, and apply to worksheets selected. Again, manually select each one. Here, this is a very manual task. We don't encourage to do this. So is there any other option, like automatically filters applied for every sheet which I create? Okay, so is there any other option? Yes. So the other option, or the other small concept, is applying the filters by default to every sheet. Where is that? Use this option. All using this data source. So whoever is dragging the fields from this data source, then automatically that filter will be applied. Look at the symbol here. The symbol is now this. Previously the symbol was this, which means only selected sheets. But this symbol says that this will be applied to every sheet where this data source is used. Okay, let's check that, whether it is applied for the newly added sheets or not. Sheet 4, sheet 5, oh, it's there automatically. Now observe, go to sheet 6 and drag anything from this list here. So I'm dragging subcategory. Now observe, I did not drag this. Automatically Tableau is adding this filter to you, because which option you choose on any other sheets. So this option is what we selected, all using this data source. So now this is automatic. So if you choose any sheet, you will get data only for 2019. So if you put this, you will get again 2019 data only. Sorry, only these two things, what you selected. So if you select the 19 data on one sheet, now will this be applied to every sheet, previous sheets? So go to any sheet, it shows only 2019 data. All right, so this is called as sharing of filters between one sheet. So then apply this option. When you manually want to select it, when you automatically want to apply to every sheet, then use this option. Okay, so these options we call it as, which one? The first three we call them as sharing of filters. So we call them as sharing of filters, and these two sharing within the data source, these two, and this one is sharing with another data source as well. So which we'll talk about this maybe in the next session. Right? So we discussed only these two options today, and we talked about the differences between the data source filters, extract filters, and we saw the order of execution of filters. All right, so with this we will stop the class here, and we'll try to understand the other option here, which is applying the filters across multiple data sources tomorrow, which is this one. Okay, so one last thing which I wanted to share. Yeah, I got names that will be disconnected by tomorrow. So please make sure that this is known for you. All right. So these three, so you will be disconnected automatically by the admin. You will not be able to join. All right. And even the same thing for Rajshekhar as well, if you have joined. So please make a note of it. Right. So tomorrow you should not ask again. All right, so that's all for today. So do you have any other questions before we end up?
Hi, sir.